You're looking live at the scene of the city's latest homicide. Detectives with CMPD are investigating this homicide on Porter Street. There's very limited information right now.
I'm here, simply here, begging and pleading for justice for my child.
Thursday night, Tanya Hoskins wanted to make sure that her daughter, Tyra Crosby, was not forgotten and that her full story was shared.
She was our angel, our flower, murdered unnecessarily, lured to a home, and brutally beaten and murdered.
A woman walks into her Charlotte, North Carolina home after finishing her night shift. She heads to her bedroom and discovers her husband in bed with another woman. 8 minutes later, 25-year-old Tyra Crosby is dead from a gunshot wound. The 911 call comes in. The shooter claims she just killed an intruder. But the evidence tells a completely different story, one captured in an 8-minute voicemail that would change everything about this case. Welcome to True Crime Tower. I'm covering a case that raises serious questions about justice, accountability, and who really pays a price when betrayal turns deadly. Before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. Cases like this one, where the legal outcome leaves more questions than answers, are exactly what we examine here. Here's what we know. On the night of July 17, 2023, Tyra Crosby went to a nightclub in Charlotte. She met 51-year-old Albert Alexander. They left together and went back to his house on Porter Street. Tyra had no idea Albert was married. Around 5 a.m., Albert's wife, 51-year-old Stephanie Alexander, came home from her work shift. She walked into her bedroom and found Tyra in bed with her husband. What happened next was captured on a voicemail to Tyra's mother, 8 minutes of audio that documented an assault, a confrontation, and ultimately a fatal shooting. Stephanie Alexander retrieved a gun and shot Tyra Crosby. Tyra died at the scene. Then Stephanie made that 911 call, telling dispatchers she had just shot an intruder in her home. But Tyra Crosby was an intruder. She was a young woman who had gone home with someone she met at a club, someone who never mentioned he had a wife waiting at home. The question that would dominate this case: what separates a crime of passion from murder? And why, in a situation involving 3 people, did only one person face consequences? The charges, the evidence, the family's fight for justice, and a plea deal that left many asking if the punishment fit the crime. You're about to see it all.
You're looking live at the scene of the city's latest homicide. Detectives with CMPD are investigating this homicide on Porter Street. There's very limited information right now.
I'm here, simply here, begging and pleading for justice for my child.
Thursday night, Tanya Hoskins wanted to make sure that her daughter, Tyra Crosby, was not forgotten and that her full story was shared.
She was our angel, our flower, murdered unnecessarily, lured to a home, and brutally beaten and murdered.
Police on the scene of a homicide on Porter Street in Northwest. This is between Rossell's Ferry Road and Freedom Drive.
Now, this started as a home invasion investigation. According to police, a woman called 911 saying she shot and killed a woman she found in her house.
Investigators say they do not believe the 2 women knew one another. It was the alleged shooter's husband is the only witness in this case. And I do want to get to some video my photographer Alex took early this morning when we first arrived. That was here on Porter Street, and police were investigating early this morning. That 911 call came in just before 5:30 a.m. Now, the person of interest and her husband were taken to police headquarters to be interviewed. A next-door neighbor told me gun violence has become a big issue in this area over the past few years. That neighbor, Jeanette Jones, says her own home has been shot up twice now since she's moved here.
Now, everybody's shooting. We got drive-by shootings. You hear it all the time. And you hear it back here in that warehouse back there. They be back there shooting, racing cars in the parking lot.
Crosby's mom says she wants you to know what really happened to her daughter. She was killed Tuesday morning on Porter Street in Northwest Charlotte. CMPD says Stephanie Alexander arrived home, found Crosby inside, and then shot her. Alexander is charged with voluntary manslaughter. WBTV's Cam Gaskins is live outside CMPD tonight. So Cam, what did Crosby's mom tell you?
Yeah, Molly, she wanted us to know that her daughter Tyra Crosby was not an intruder in Alexander's home and was actually invited inside by Alexander's husband, and that's why she believes the charges deserve to be upgraded to first-degree murder, and that's why she wanted to make sure her daughter's story was shared tonight. It's all new at 11.
So I'm here, simply here, begging and pleading for justice for my child.
Thursday night, Tanya Hoskins wanted to make sure that her daughter Tyra Crosby was not forgotten and that her full story was shared.
She was our angel, our flower, murdered unnecessarily, lured to a home, and brutally beaten and murdered.
According to CMPD, Stephanie Alexander returned home to her house on Porter Street in Northwest Charlotte early Tuesday morning and found Crosby inside before shooting and killing her. Crosby's mother says that Tyra was invited into that home by Alexander's husband and that her daughter did not know he was married or that he and his wife owned that home.
She was invited there. She did not just pop up there. She was not an intruder. She was invited there.
She also says that Crosby called her in her final hour and left a voicemail in which you can hear Alexander beating her before shooting her. According to Hoskins, it was a prolonged beating, and she's hopeful that this new evidence will elevate the charges against Alexander.
Because right now she's charged with the lowest form of murder. I want it up to first-degree murder.
Alexander was charged with voluntary manslaughter and booked into the Mecklenburg County Jail on Tuesday. Hours later, she was out on bond.
She murdered my daughter at 5 a.m. and she was out at 8 p.m. So that means that human life means nothing anymore.
For now, Hoskins says she'll wait for CMPD to investigate, but she won't let anyone forget.
I don't want the investigators to go away. I won't stop until there's another charge. And justice for my child.
On December 5th, 2024, more than a year after Tyra Crosby's death, Stephanie Alexander stood in court and pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter. Her sentence, 60 to 84 months in prison. That's 5 to 7 years for taking a life. The charge had started as voluntary manslaughter. Tyra's family fought to have it elevated.
New at 5, a Charlotte mom wants to set the record straight a year after her daughter was killed.
I want it to be known, if me or you kill somebody, we have to stand the consequence, and we can't vow out on a crime of passion.
She says her daughter, Tyra Crosby, went home with a man not knowing he was married, and it cost her her life. Channel 9's crime reporter Hunter Sines spoke to that grieving mother and joins us live. Hunter, this mom doesn't want the accused shooter to end up with just a slap on the wrist.
No, she doesn't, Hannah. Stephanie Alexander is due in court here later this week, charged with second-degree murder. Prosecutors say she shot and killed Tyra Crosby. Now, I spoke with Crosby's mother earlier today, and she tells me this case is not what it seems.
The holiday decor can be deceiving.
We spent hours on the phone just talking.
It's hard for Tanya Hoskins to get into the Christmas spirit, knowing her daughter's spirit is all she has left to hold on to.
Around the holidays, it's really hard.
Police
using that 8-minute voicemail as evidence. A grand jury indicted Stephanie for second-degree murder in August 2023. But in the end, a plea deal brought it back down to involuntary manslaughter. Stephanie was released on a $250,000 bond just hours after shooting. She's now serving her sentence. Albert Alexander, the man who brought Tyra home that night while his wife was at work, faced no charges. No legal consequences whatsoever. Let's be clear about what happened here. Tyra Crosby went home with someone she met at a club. She didn't know he was married. She didn't break into anyone's home. She wasn't an intruder. She was a 25-year-old woman who made a decision that countless people make every weekend, and it cost her her life. Stephanie Alexander made a choice too. In those moments after discovering her husband's betrayal, she chose violence. Not against the person who broke their marriage vows, but against a young woman who didn't even know those vows existed. This case forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths. Why do we see this pattern again and again where anger gets directed at the other woman instead of the unfaithful partner? Why does our justice system sometimes seem to weigh emotional pain as a justification for violence? And how does someone walk away from a situation like this with no accountability at all? Tyra's family has had to live with these questions every single day since July 18th, 2023. They pushed for justice. They fought to make sure the evidence was heard. And still, the outcome left them asking, is this really what justice looks like? Here's what I want you to think about. 3 people were involved in what happened that night. 1 is dead. 1 is in prison. 1 faced nothing. Drop a comment below. Do you think Stephanie's sentence was appropriate? Should Albert have been charged with anything? And what does real accountability look like in a case like this? I want to hear your perspective, because these conversations matter. If you want more cases that make you question how our system works, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. True Crime Tower exists to tell these stories the way they need to be told, with facts, with respect for the victims, and with the hard questions that don't always have easy answers. Tyra Crosby was 25 years old. She deserved to go home that morning. Her name deserves to be remembered. Rest in peace, Tyra.